Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Frank Rich and Jane Mayer.
How did you get on, shall we say, the torture beat? What led you into the story?
Well, it's when I look back to the very beginning, I got a tip from someone who said they thought they could get me an interview with John Walker Lindh. Remember him way back? And
You might want to remind people, just in case, how fleeting is terrorist fame.
Yes, he is the son of sort of upper middle class couple in Marin County, California, who joined the Taliban, I guess,
yes,
against
the
Northern
American
Alliance,
Taliban.
the American Taliban, to fight in Afghanistan for what he thought was a perfect Muslim state. He obviously was deeply deluded, but he went over there before 9/11 and got caught up after 9/11 when we went to war, and was captured and then put on trial. And so I very much thought, great, I'll interview him, I'll get the first exclusive story. It turned out that the Justice Department wouldn't let me talk to him because they have these things called special administrative measures, which make it impossible for reporters in this country to interview any convicted terrorist from the Muslim extremism world. And so that's why you've not ever seen any interviews of them. And not only can you not interview them, but you also can't interview people who have been in talking to them to get it secondhand. So I was pretty fascinated by the fact that there were such a wall of stopping the press from getting this story. And so I started digging into his case, and I ran across in the process of it someone in the Justice Department, a young lawyer who'd graduated from Brown University and Yale Law School, and she was really idealistic and working in the Justice Department and won all these awards. And she'd been asked her opinion of how to treat John Walker Lindh when he was held. And she said, you've got to let him talk to his lawyer. His dad had hired a lawyer. And for that, she was run out of the Justice Department on a rail, basically. And I went to her house, and she told me this story, and she said, something's going wrong in this country. The cowboys are in control. All the rule books are out the window. This is no longer the country that we know. And so she went on the record. Her name was Jesslyn Radek, and she was actually being investigated by the Justice Department for her role in this whole thing. It was a crazy story, and anyway, it got me interested in not just them, the terrorists, but in us. Who are we? What's our reaction to them? What kind of people are we becoming in the way we fight them?
What do you think about the compromise, or whatever you want to call it, about military commissions that was just announced by Obama?
Well, I'm kind of worried about it. I do think I sort of separate out what's going on between problems he's inherited from the Bush administration. That's one basket. And then there's going forward, what's the Obama administration's policy? And the problem with that basket of Bush inheritance is there are no good solutions because they violated the detainees' rights so egregiously that you can't necessarily get convictions of them in regular courts,
even if they are guilty, because
even if they're guilty, and even if they're dangerous, and some of them are obviously dangerous and guilty. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. So Obama obviously can't afford to have Khalid Sheikh Mohammed walk, but because of what the Bush administration did to him, torturing him the way they did, his case is shaky now, and so. That's why they have to configure all of these weird solutions, I think, including the military trials. The question, so I kind of forgive the difficulty they have in getting rid of the Bush administration problems. The bigger question, and I think the real litmus test, is going forward. Are they going to create more Guantanamos? Are they going to put more prisoners in places like Guantanamo? Are they going to capture people and major terror suspects and not put them on trial in the courts? I think they're really trying to bring us back into a conventional legal system.
Has anyone ever withheld information from your reporting on grounds of national security? And if so, what do you think about it now? Well, I'm sure the answer is yes. Tell us how that works and how you deal with it as a journalist.
We've been asked to withhold some things, usually by the CIA, and I have, in this book, left out some names of people. I didn't want to have a Valerie Plame problem. And so there are people who are described. There's a redhead who you hear about who is hell on wheels, and she makes several appearances, and I wish I could tell people who she is. She's still in there. She renditioned somebody who was innocent and kept him in a dungeon despite the fact that everybody else kept saying he's innocent, and she's been promoted twice since. So I'd love to identify her, but I can't because the CIA says that she's in a delicate position, job, and can't be identified, so we didn't.
How can investigative reporting happen with the demise of newspapers and magazines, of the ambition of the New Yorker? Who will support investigative reporting? And how can democracy continue effectively with no exposure of scandal, wrongdoing, Pentagon Papers, et cetera? I'm counting on you to have the answer to this question.
Oh, God. Well, read the New Yorker. There'll be investigative reporting. I know that at the New York Times, my friend Jill Abramson is here in the audience, the managing editor. I know there'll be investigative reporting so long as she's there. And the Times has done fantastic. I actually find myself defending mainstream media a lot because I think they did some terrific reporting in this whole area. I mean, think of Dana Priest and James Risen and others.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So
not so much television, though. Which is a problem, I think.
Really not. Yeah.
Didn't even go looking.
That's true. So, I mean, I'm afraid what people won't know what they don't know, and abuse will flourish of all kinds. I mean, there really do need to be checks and balances. So I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. Would you have any answers here?
No, I have a tin cup in the lobby. No, but just to go back.
There've been a lot of books. I mean, not just this book, but other books that have put the stories together. In a way, they perform even more of a service now because you get so many little tiny fragments of news from the internet and everything else. I think it's very hard for busy people to connect all the dots and understand what's happening in Washington.
Right.
And so that if you get a book, I mean, this is written as a narrative so that you start in one place and you follow the whole thing and you can see how it all unfolded. And it's so maybe, hopefully maybe Kindle will save us. I don't know.
I'm glad you've been on it all this time. I'm glad you're still on it as long as you're not too tortured by it. And thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you, Frank.